Today on Expert Showcase, we have Tracee Sioux, who is going to challenge you to ask what would happen if you said yes to everything your soul asks of you. Tracee Sioux, welcome to Expert Showcase. We're so glad to have you as our expert guest today. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. Now, just to get our audience's head wrapped around this, give us a quick little overview of what we're going to talk about in our episode today.
Yes, we're going to talk about saying yes to your soul's purpose.
Excellent. And we're going to cover three things. We love to do things in threes. They are just so memorable. So we're going to talk about silencing the outside voices. Then we're going to talk about tuning into your soul's voice. And then we're going to talk about choose to say yes to your soul. So, Tracee, silence the outside voices. Help me out here. What are we talking about? I'm a psychologist, so it makes me nervous when people talk about hearing voices, you know? So.
Do you think people don't hear voices? Hundreds of thousands of voices are running through our heads all the time.
Absolutely.
And I always find that to be sort of a trick question when psychologists ask that.
That's
because
right.
Everyone hears voices. We hear our mother's voice in our head. You could spend 10 years in therapy trying to get rid of your mother's voice, right? And many people do.
A lifetime. Tracee, getting your mother's voice out of your head, that is the final exam of life.
Well, you know what? I say don't even try, right?
But you're asking us to silence the outside voices here, so help me out here.
Okay, so we have hundreds of voices in our head. We have the media, we have culture, we have news, we have our parents, we have our religion of youth, we have the neighbor, the PTA, right? Everyone has an agenda for our life, our spouse, and we confuse those voices with what we should really be doing here on earth, right? So a lot of times people will ask me, well, how do you know it's your soul? Well, you have to silence those voices. You have to completely shut them down, at least for short periods of time, so that your soul can even be heard. And I find that I have some exercises that people can do. Do you want to try?
Sure, I'm always game.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so I have this process. I call it the soul versus ego smackdown, and I refer to ego. I refer to ego as all of the outside voices, right? So it's not just your inner demon voice, because mostly your ego is getting information from the outside world, and it's all of these outside voices that are contributing to what your ego has to say. So I'll walk you through a short soul versus ego smackdown if you want to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Can the audience participate and play along?
I hope that they do. I hope that they do,
because
experiencing is so much better than just hearing, right?
All right.
So just close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. You have dominion over every aspect of your being. You have dominion over your mind, your emotions, your physical body, your spiritual body, and your energy. This means no outside voices can penetrate your being on any level without your permission. So I want you to command the outside voices to stay silent. Complete silence for the duration of this exercise. That includes your mother's voice, your father's voice, the media, your religion, your neighbors, your spouse, your children. All outside voices that are not your soul or whatever you believe to be God are commanded to remain silent for the duration of this exercise. Now I just want you to notice what this silence feels like. What a relief it is. Now I want you to invite your soul to speak. Your soul has a voice. You're familiar with this voice, but you may tell this voice to be quiet because you're afraid of this voice, or because this voice asks you to do things that conflict with the other voices in your life. So maybe this voice gives you a word, or a sentence, or a visual. Whatever this voice gives you, make a note of it. Maybe you write it down. Maybe you just make a note to remember it. And you just say thank you. You don't argue with the voice. You don't ask for a reason. You just allow the soul to say anything it needs to say at this moment. So as you come out of this exercise, this meditation, you're faced with a choice. The ego, when you come out of this meditation, is going to have some things to say about whatever your soul told you to do. But I want you to remember that it's always your choice to say yes to your soul and no to the outside voices. So you can open your eyes and come back to the present moment and ground your feet. So that's one way that you can tap into what your soul is saying and to silence your outside voices.
A very pleasant way.
Yes, it is. Don't you feel good?
I do. I do.
And I tell people that that's one really key thing. If your soul is really speaking to you, it feels very pleasant. Your soul is very loving. It's very kind. It is very gentle. Your ego, on the other hand, egos can be very vicious, extremely vicious. I've heard people, their ego will call them terrible names. You're a loser, you're not good enough. And I find that in today's culture, the ego uses 3 lies to keep people stuck from living their soul's purpose. I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, and I'm not good enough. Mm. So if you're hearing those voices, you know that is not your soul. That is the outside voices. That's your ego.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah. I mean, this is wonderful. So we've already talked about silencing and we've already kind of really segued into, tuning into your soul's voice. I mean, so this is one way. So let's talk a little bit about your third point, which is really learning to say yes to that, to what you're presented with at that point, because you have a little experience, to share with us about what life is like if you actually do that, right?
It's true. I found myself in 2012 divorced, and I was the primary caregiver to my children. I had kept my foot wedged in the door of journalism just enough to call myself a journalist and to keep my portfolio live, but I was by no means the primary breadwinner, and I was making about $600 a month, and I was suddenly the primary provider for my family, and it was terrifying. I was terrified. I had left the workforce for 12 years. They don't go, hey, come on back, baby, we missed you.
That's right. Amazing, isn't it? They've moved on.
This feminist promise was completely an illusion that turned out to be not at all reality. And so I really had to get serious about what I was going to do. So at the same time, I found myself feeling this deep peace. Right? This incredible peace deep inside my soul. Now that I was divorced, even though I was in this terrible financial situation, because my soul had finally gotten what she wanted. See, my marriage problem was that my husband and what he wanted for me, my outside voice, was in constant conflict with what my soul wanted. My soul came here to write and to coach people and help people. And he didn't think that was a great plan. He didn't think that was a good investment. He was pretty sure I was going to fail. So if he was winning, my soul was miserable. She wasn't living for purpose. And if my soul was winning, my marriage was miserable. So I just was in constant conflict.
Not a winning formula, right?
Not a winning formula. So when I finally got a divorce, I realized I don't have this conflict anymore, right? I can follow my soul, and I have this new opportunity without this constant conflict. So what if I said yes? What if I just did every single thing my soul told me to do? What would my life look like? What would I be doing? How would I be living? And so I committed to this experiment for January 2013 to December 2013, and I said yes, not knowing the outcome, not demanding to know the result, not having a good reason, not having justification. I just said yes. And that meant saying no to a lot of other people's agendas for my life. And it meant saying no to my ego, telling me that I didn't have enough time and I didn't have enough money. And I'll tell you, there's nobody who would look at my checking account and say, oh, yeah, she has enough money. Like, that was not
totally go with what your soul wants. It's all good. It'll all work out in the end.
And people don't do it because it is scary, right? If you
I was going to say, Tracee, I mean, there's a whole bunch of people who just heard you say that, and they're like, what? I mean, so
if you weren't afraid of it, you'd already be doing it.
So what happened?
Well, what happened was I did start my coaching and writing business. I wrote a book that year. It's called The Year of Yes, and it's on Amazon now. And it tracks what happened, right? I did it as a diary form. It really is my personal diary. I left it unedited and raw. When people go through their self-discovery or their enlightenment phase, usually they start it on their knees going, oh my God, help me, right? I'm so scared right now and I don't know what to do. That's usually when enlightenment starts, right? That's usually when you have your awakening. And so I walked you through that year day by day with the real struggles and the real fear that I went through, which is so helpful to people, because one of the most healing words or phrases is me too, right? We all feel so alone. We feel so, I'm the only one who's terrified of my soul's purpose. No, you're not. Everybody's terrified of their own soul's purpose, right? Everyone is. We go through plan B thinking we have to get through plan B to get through plan A. And I got news for you. A lot of people I'm seeing right now, plan B isn't working anymore. It just stops working. Sorry, that job's gone. Boom. Or sorry, you're not getting any more clients because you're supposed to be doing something else. And it's just not working for people anymore. And so they're forced into their plan A. They're forced into their soul's purpose by the universe, because the universe is really tired of people living someone else's life or the wrong life.
You're making a lot of sense, Tracee. It can be a frightening concept, but it's I mean, because what's the alternative? I mean, the alternative is that the way I've often found myself phrasing it is that, we have sort of two brains. We have multiple brains, but we have at least two of them. One of them is just based on survival, and survival is good enough. That's our most primitive brain, right? But we've got a much newer brain that wants much more. It wants to live. And a lot of people, fear makes you just do what you got to do to get by, right? And that's often, I think, what you're calling Plan B. And that's kind of more that survival voice that's saying, hey, as long as I survive, it's all good. I don't have to be happy.
I recently heard a phrase by Carl Jung. I won't say it's a quote because I can't quote it directly. But he has those personality types, right? I think there are like 16 of them or 18 of them. And he said the artist is the only personality type that will sacrifice their own self-preservation in order to create, right? And I would say that that's true of healers as well, right? That they will sacrifice their own self-preservation in order to create. Like, I am just terrible at Plan B. I can't even do Plan B. Like, I'm so freaking bad at doing Plan B. It makes me almost suicidal to be like, oh, I'm just going to trudge through this. And what I've realized is that Plan B is not even working for me anymore, right? I'll say, oh, I'll do this for the extra money, and I can't find that client any better than I can find it for my Plan A. Like, why do we think that plan B is so much easier to market or to get clients from than plan A. It doesn't take more or less energy to do
No,
plan B.
you're absolutely right. And the biggest problem with plan B is there's no passion behind it, and so you're not very attractive when you're pitching it, right? So
no, it's not a great sell.
Yeah,
it's not a great sell. So my theory is that when you start living your soul's purpose, the universe begins to flow with you. It rolls out the red carpet and it goes, yes, this is what you're supposed to be doing, right? So now I'm going to send you the people you're supposed to be helping, or the clients that need your services, because get on plan A, right? Get on plan A. And then, you know, whether it's working or it's not working in the sense that you think it should be, at least your soul's at peace.
Absolutely. Now, I think, Tracee, we could probably talk literally all day about this, you know, and start peeling away more and more layers. But in the interest of time, we won't do that. But I will tell people how they can actually get connected with you and continue their own version. That's see, they're not getting to actually have their half of the conversation like I am. So I'm just a stand-in for the audience right now. So let's give them access. What do you say?
I would love to. Yeah.
Okay. So we've been talking with Tracee Sioux today about, you know, this concept of what if you actually let yourself say yes to what your soul is asking of you, and just keep doing that on an ongoing basis. So we talked about silencing the outside voices. We talked about tuning into your soul's voice and then choosing to say yes to your soul. And, you know, not giving into that fear that you might be feeling just even thinking about that. So, Tracee, if people want to get a copy of your book, they want to, you know, really take your journey with you to inspire them to take their journey with them. We're going to put we've got your web link up on the screen there, but you have this memoir, The Year of Saying Yes, and it's at bit.ly YOY book, but anyway, I won't even try to say it. It's on screen.
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon.
Okay,
you can get an ebook or a print book on Amazon.
There you
or
go.
my website, which is TraceeSioux.com.
Excellent. So you have plenty of options. So, Tracee, it has really been great having you on the show today as our expert. I very much enjoyed our silent exercise. I'll have to tell you at some point about how I did that for 9 straight days, you know, 24/7. It was an interesting experience, let me tell you.
I don't know if I would dare.
Well, listen, you should dare. Well, if your soul says yes, right? Exactly. If your soul says no, hey, you know. So on that note, Tracee, it's been great having you on Expert Showcase. I invite everyone to get in touch with you and get connected to you. You know, read the book on Amazon. You're going to be easy to find on the web. I am quite certain of it. So, Tracee, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
And another great Expert Showcase episode. Chris, what should people do right now?
Yeah, if you're watching this and you're a coach or consultant, imagine what it would do for you and your business if you were a guest on Experts Showcase. And here's the best part. Other than possibly increasing your business, an appearance on Experts Showcase is free. We give you a copy of your episode so you can use as marketing collateral, and we give you a coaching session to go along with it to tell you how you can best market your episode and other tips and tricks about your business. So what you want to do is head on over to expertshowcase.com, click on the big yellow apply button, and apply to be our next featured guest on the Expert Showcase. Now, if you're a coach or consultant and you've already imagined what having your own internet talk show will do for you, then we want you to head to VideoContent.Agency and check us out, check our packages out, and get in contact with us. Let's see if we're a good fit, and let's see if we're the ones to produce you and make you the next star and have your own internet talk show. And until next time, Mark, anything else?
I couldn't have said it any better, so just do what he said.